Kongzi involuntarily smiled as he looked over boiling the square. The atmosphere was something that only existed during the pill gathering, even when compared to other events across the entire continent. All competitors, please take your places. The final competition is not limited by any rules. All of you will have to use your full effort to refine the medicinal pill that you are best at refining. The blood of the many competitors in the arena gradually boiled when they heard the elderly voice of Kongzi resounding over the sky. Everyone looked at each other before a loud bang sounded. One could see numerous figures suddenly rushing to the arena. Figures rushed in all directions at that moment. Even the scattering sunlight was slightly blocked by them. There were many stone platforms in the sky. It was not a problem for them to hold all of the remaining competitors. Even though the competitors had already undergone 2 rounds of elimination, where nearly 90% had been eliminated, the remaining number was still quite large. Over 1,000 people lifting their cauldrons together. This scene would be spectacular. Xiao Yan was also mixed within the human figures that came in all directions. He did not hurry to choose his own stone platform. Instead, he allowed the many figures to rush onto the stone stages. Some of the competitors had even ended up fighting over some of the stone platforms. Xiao Yan remained in the air. Only after most of the people had chosen their platforms did he step through the air and slowly land on a stone platform closer to the edge. One must be completely focused when refining medicinal pills. Almost every spot in the middle areas had been occupied. Should one end up being disturbed while refining pills, it would really be too late to cry. The size of this stone platform Xiao Yan had landed on was not large. It was only 2 to 3 feet in size. However, it was big enough to hold a person. He crossed his legs and sat down after having found his spot, after which his eyes swept in all directions. They swept over Chaoying, Danjun, and Songqing, the 3 of them some distance away. However, they did not snatch the middle stone platforms that appeared to possess a grand atmosphere. Instead, they had found quiet stone stages near the edges. Xiao Yan's eyes swept over the 3 before suddenly pausing on a floating stone platform that was not far from those 3. A black human figure was sitting there with his eyes shut, recuperating. This fellow, he is hiding his true aura again. Xiao Yan stared at the black figure. His eyebrows slightly frowned. Currently, old Mu Gu no longer had the strength he had displayed back in the pill realm. His aura had become quite normal and was unnoticeable from an ordinary competitor's aura. However, after that incident, Xiao Yan's group was aware that this old fellow was definitely an extremely troublesome enemy. This old Mu Gu is also a Tier 8 alchemist. This kind of level is likely one that very few people among these competitors can surpass. Although I only need to enter the top 10 in order to obtain the opportunity to subdue the 3,000 burning flame, this old fellow is extremely mistrusting. He would not allow others to touch the 3,000 burning flame before him. Moreover, he was also a member of the Hall of Souls. If he were to obtain the champion spot of the Pill Tower's pill gathering, the Pill Tower would likely end up looking bad when the topic was brought up in the future. Hence, this old fellow will definitely choose to take the champion spot if he has the chance. Xiao Yan revealed a thoughtful expression. Although he could be considered to have advanced to the 8th tier within the pill realm, he had, after all, just entered it. There would definitely be a gap between him and an old demon like old Mu Gu. After all, this old fellow was an expert from the same generation as Yao Lao. How could he be an ordinary person? Despite putting it this way, Xiao Yan had no solution. The only thing Xiao Yan could do was put in all his effort and give it a try. In any case, he adopted the thought of obtaining the 3,000 burning flame. If this old fellow wanted to hinder, he could only violently give him a kick. The chaos in the sky gradually ceased while this thought was lingering within Xiao Yan's heart. All the competitors had found their own stone platforms and were beginning to arrange their things in preparation of refining pills. Bang! Kongzi's eyes slowly swept over those stone platforms in the air. A moment later, he raised his head and looked at the sky. He gently waved his sleeves, and a bell clearly chimed for a long time over the competition grounds. It is time. Everyone, please raise your cauldrons and refine your pills. Bang! 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 Kongzi's words had just sounded when the atmosphere instantly solidified. Soon after, medicinal cauldron rushed out from all directions. They eventually landed on the ground. Ringing metallic sounds continuously resonated across the sky. Some low uproars resounded over the square as everyone looked at the densely packed medicinal cauldron. This was likely the first time that they had seen so many high-grade medicinal cauldrons appearing at the same time. After most of the alchemists had summoned their medicinal cauldrons, some sizzling sounds began to resound over the sky. Immediately, numerous flames rose. Looking from a distance, it appeared as though they were fireworks, causing the entire sky to look unusually brilliant. Xiao Yan quietly sat cross-legged on the stone platform. He was not in a hurry to refine a medicinal pill. Instead, his eyes were slightly shut as he arranged the thoughts within his mind. The medicinal pill that he planned to refine during this pill gathering was naturally the bone-growing blood-fusing pill, which he had prepared the medicinal ingredients for. This medicinal pill was at the peak of the 7th tier. If one were smoothly refine it, it could even advance to the 8th tier. It could also be considered an extremely high-tier medicinal pill. If he could refine it, he should be able to gain the qualification to compete with all the experts. Xiao Yan did not immediately act either. While Xiao Yan shut his eyes and fell deep into thought, she had shut her eyes and recuperated for a while before slowly summoning her medicinal cauldron. Xiao Yan summoned her medicinal cauldron in front of everyone before flicking her finger. A cluster of red, eye-piercing flame slowly rose from her palm. The flame was a bright red color that was extremely eye-catching. It even appeared to be a little denser than fresh blood. While the flame rose, it was possible to vaguely see a tiny figure leaping within it like a fire spirit. This cluster of unusually red flames had just appeared when the flame within the cauldron of the surrounding alchemists slightly fluctuated. These shocked individuals hurriedly focused their minds to control their faces, after which they tossed shocked gazes at Xiao Yan. This is blood demon flame? The ripple that had suddenly appeared also attracted Xiao Yan's attention. He turned his eyes before pausing them on the red-colored fresh blood-like flame on Xiao Yan's palm. He was slightly startled as shock flashed across his eyes. Xiao Yan possessed an understanding of this kind of strange flame that Xiao Yan had summoned. He had seen it in some of the books Xiao Lao had left behind. This so-called blood demon flame was not a flame that was naturally formed. It was not overboard to say that it was a man-made flame similar to Xiao Yan's life transformation flame. However, the formation of this blood demon flame was a little unique because this thing was not formed from flames. Instead, it required one to gather the blood of nearly 1,000 fire affinity magical beasts and merge the fire affinity blood together. Finally, it would use the fire affinity energy within the blood to form a flame. This flame that took shape would become the blood demon flame. Of course, this flame was divided between the strong and the weak. The factor that separated the strong and weak was determined by the completeness of the tiny human figure within the flame. From the looks of the human figure within the flame on Xiao Yan's hands, it was obvious that this flame was an extremely powerful blood demon flame. It was likely even stronger than Xiao Yan's life transformation flame if one wished to compare them. The strength of the blood demon flame was quite great. However, the method to create it was overly harsh. If one did not have the support of a large fortune, one would definitely be unable to gather the blood of nearly 1,000 fire affinity magical beasts. That Chao clan is extremely wealthy. They are able to create this blood demon flame for Xiao Yan, Xiao Yan quietly sighed. With this blood demon flame, Xiao Yan would definitely be like a tiger with the addition of wings. Her chances of successfully refining a pill would significantly increase. After Xiao Yan, Song Qing and Dan Shan in the distance summoned their own flames. The flames of the both of them were beast flames. Although their flames could not be compared to Xiao Ying's blood demon flame, they could be ranked among the top of the beast flames. They could also be considered a potent weapon in pill refinement. Sizzle. Xiao Yan's eyes had just been withdrawn when an unusually hot wave he was familiar with was suddenly emitted. He lifted his eyebrows and turned his head. It was possible to see that old Mugu clenching his fist. The deep blue sea heart flame rose, after which it transformed into a fire snake that danced around his body. Bang! The couple of alchemists' expression, closest to old Mugu, suddenly changed when the sea heart flame appeared because they had discovered that the interior of their medicinal cauldrons had wiggled intensely at this moment. After which a bang sound appeared and the interior of their cauldrons exploded. A hot wind caused a couple of people, who were unable to react in time, to fall from their stone platforms. Heavenly flame? A countless number of gazes in the square immediately shot over upon seeing this scene. Numerous exclamations resounded one after another. This was the first time that they had seen a heavenly flame in a pill gathering. Old Moo Goo merely lifted the corner of his mouth into a cold smile when those unlucky fellows were implicated. The sea heart flame danced around his body. It appeared just like an emperor among the tens of thousands of flames, and it was receiving the worship of the many flames. The fire snake that the sea heart flame had transformed into lingered around Old Moo Goo. It appeared as though it was acting triumphant. Xiao Yan glanced indifferently at Old Moo Goo, whose cold smile was visible on the corner of his mouth. A grin was also slowly lifted onto Xiao Yan's face. He gently clenched his hand, and a jade-colored flame suddenly rushed out. It transformed into a fire dragon and emitted a strange roar at the sea heart flame from a great distance. Bang! The sea heart flame, which was lingering around Old Moo Goo, immediately became sluggish amid the roar of the glazed lotus heart flame. The flame immediately rushed to Old Moo Goo's palm in front of a countless number of stunned eyes, as though it was fleeing for its life. Clamor! The entire square once again emitted wave after wave of uproars as they looked at the sudden scene that appeared in the sky. Numerous shocked eyes slid to the jade-green fire dragon surging out of Xiao Yan's body. This fire was unafraid of even the other party's heavenly flame. Clearly, this jade-green flame should also be a kind of heavenly flame. Moreover, its position on the heavenly flame ranking was likely even higher than the deep blue flame of Old Moo Goo. The roaring jade-green flame was clearly targeting Old Moo Goo. Hence, the other alchemists did not feel too much of a disruption. However, they still sensed the flame within their medicinal cauldron become much more violent when the roar sounded. Their expressions immediately changed. They were quite helpless in the face of the heavenly flames, which were the strongest of all flames. Zi and the others on the tall stage revealed shocked expressions in their eyes when they saw the jade-green fire dragon that Xiao Yan had summoned. Their eyebrows were knit together a moment later as they talked somewhat uncertainly. If I have guessed correctly, the heavenly flame of the black-clothed person should be the sea heart flame ranked 15th. That jade-green heavenly flame of Xiao Yan should be ranked even higher than the sea heart flame. But why is it that I feel unfamiliar with it? There is indeed something not quite right. Although there are colors among the top 15 flames that are similar to it, it is still possible to find a lot of differences if one were to carefully compare them. The pretty woman nodded slightly and replied with surprise, "Could it be that this little fellow has found a new heavenly flame? Endless nature hid a countless amount of secrets. A natural item like the heavenly flame was even more mysterious. The heavenly flame ranking might possess a great authority, but it did not mean the heavenly flames of this world were only limited to what was ranked. Hence, the pretty woman had made this conjecture. I'm not certain. However, I can pick up scent of the green lotus core flame within the jade-green flame. Yet the position of the green lotus heart flame is a little behind that of the sea heart flame. How could it possibly cause the sea heart flame to fear it?" That dark-skinned elder revealed an expression of thought as he replied, "Cuckoo. Looks like this little fellow possesses many secrets. The pill gathering this time around is going to be very interesting. It has been many years since a battle between heavenly flames has appeared." Zi faintly smiled, but he did not probe too much into the matter. The pretty woman and the dark-skinned elder slowly nodded upon hearing his words. Humph! Old Moo Goo glanced at the deep blue flame that had shrunk back into his hand, after which his eyes stared at the distant Xiao Yan in a dense manner. He let out a cold snort and once again withdrew his gaze. He flicked his finger, and the flame stood in the interior of his medicinal cauldron. At this moment, he did not have the time to bother with Xiao Yan. Once he had finished all of his tasks, he would take good care of this hateful fellow. Xiao Yan faintly smiled after having shaved down Old Moo Goo's spirit. He finally withdrew his eyes. With a wave of his hand, the bright red 10,000 beast cauldron appeared in front of him. He gently waved his sleeves, and the jade-green fire dragon rushed down from the sky. Finally, it entered the medicinal cauldron. A fierce flame swiftly caused the ice-cold medicinal cauldron's temperature to rise. After the temperature within the medicinal cauldron gradually rose, Xiao Yan's hand rubbed through the air and numerous medicinal ingredients immediately flew out of his storage ring. Finally, they remained suspended around his stone stage. At a brief glance, it was likely there were 100 of them. The degree of complication in the refinement of a medicinal pill at the tier of the bone-growing blood-fusing pill was unimaginable. If someone whose spiritual control failed to meet the criteria attempted it, it was likely one would have a headache by just simply looking at the many medicinal ingredients. The thing that gave one an even greater headache was that one needed to use a frighteningly accurate method to refine it. Xiao Yan shook his hand after having taken out these ingredients. 3 jade boxes appeared before gently floating in front of him. The interior of these jade boxes contained the 3 key medicinal ingredients needed to refine the bone-growing blood-fusing pill. Xiao Yan's expression became grave after preparing everything. The bone-growing blood-fusing pill was the highest-tier medicinal pill would be the highest tier of pill he had ever attempted. It was also the toughest. If one were careless, one's ending would likely be extremely miserable. After all, something like pill refinement would frequently cause one to fall from the heavens into hell within a moment. The refinement method of the bone-growing blood-fusing pill quietly flowed around Xiao Yan's mind like flowing water. All the details that he needed to pay attention to were being firmly remembered in Xiao Yan's heart. Who? Xiao Yan exhaled a deep breath of air. His narrowed eyes were slightly opened, and a sternness flashed across them. With a wave of his sleeves, a couple of medicinal ingredients were separated from the bulk and tossed into the medicinal cauldron one after another. Once the medicinal ingredients entered the medicinal cauldron, they swiftly withered under the terrifying temperature of the glazed lotus heart flame. After which, under Xiao Yan's extremely powerful spiritual control, the couple of medicinal ingredients were refined into pure medicinal powder within a short 10 minutes. They were left gently suspended in a corner of the medicinal cauldron after a thought flashed through Xiao Yan's mind. After having refined the first batch of pure medicinal powder with the fastest speed, Xiao Yan's expression did not change. His hand continued to wave, and medicinal ingredients began to continuously rush into the medicinal cauldron. However, regardless of just how numerous and messy these medicinal ingredients were, they were unable to cause Xiao Yan to feel any panic. Moreover, the good thing about having advanced to a Tier 8 alchemist was finally beginning to expose itself. Xiao Yan could clearly sense the flame would immediately change with his thought when he refined medicinal ingredients. After which, it would refine the medicinal ingredient to the highest purity. The thing that caused Xiao Yan to feel the greatest surprise was that these medicinal ingredients that he had refined seemed to have been vaguely mixed with a trace of extremely faint spiritual aura. Although this kind of spiritual aura was extremely faint, it was still able to quietly but significantly improve the medicinal powder refined. A Tier 8 alchemist is indeed extraordinary. Xiao Yan involuntarily felt joy flash across his heart when he sensed the small spiritual auras. This little spiritual aura that was mixed in should not be underestimated. The medicinal pill that was eventually refined by using these medicinal powders would definitely be more than a level higher in quality when compared with the similar medicinal pills that were refined by Tier 7 alchemists. Xiao Yan had swiftly refined 1/3 of the medicinal ingredient into medicinal powders and medicinal liquids within a short half an hour or so. Xiao Yan's expression was still extremely solemn while refining these many medicinal ingredients. He gently exhaled a breath of air as his eyes turned to the 3 jade boxes in front of him. He could squander the other medicinal ingredients as he pleased. However, he tried his best to be careful when it came to these 3 key ingredients. A jade box flew away with a flick of Xiao Yan's finger, revealing a jade-green, dry vine. A rich life force spread out of it. This thing was one of the key items used to refine the bone-growing blood-fusing pill, the 10,000-year-old green spiritual vine. Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment as he looked at this dry vine. He waved his hand and threw it into his medicinal cauldron. He hurriedly focused his mind on controlling the flame. The flame fiercely burned within the medicinal cauldron. That seemingly weak 10,000-year-old green spiritual vine did not show the slightest change even after being subjected to such a high temperature. If one were to look carefully, one would be able to discover a slight fluorescent light being emitted from the dry vine, isolating it from the high temperature. All the intelligent beings on the continent possessed an ability to protect themselves. This did not cause Xiao Yan to be surprised. As long as he persisted during this stalemate, he would sooner or later be able to refine this 10,000-year-old green spiritual vine. Xiao Yan slightly shut his eyes while maintaining his flame. If he wanted to refine this 10,000-year-old green spiritual vine, the time needed would likely be a lot. Of course, things were indeed just as Xiao Yan had expected. This refinement lasted for nearly half a day or so. Only then did the 10,000-year-old green spiritual vine gradually break apart. Droplets of a jade-green liquid had become partially visible within the crevices. After the surface of the 10,000-year-old green spiritual vine had been broken, everything else had become much more relaxing. The 10,000-year-old green spiritual vine eventually transformed into a cluster of emerald green liquid after Xiao Yan spent another hour. It remained suspended in the flame as though it possessed some life, slowly wiggling as it did so. Xiao Yan sighed in relief when he looked at the emerald liquid that this 10,000-year-old green spiritual vine had transformed into. He immediately waved his hand, and the many medicinal powders and medicinal liquids suspended in the corner of the medicinal cauldron swiftly rushed forth. They were all thrown into the emerald-colored liquid under the control of Xiao Yan's grave face. This initial merger step was done quite perfectly by Xiao Yan. Around an hour or so, a cluster of liquid items surfaced in the jade-green flame. The first refinement step had been successful. Even Xiao Yan himself was quite surprised at this point. However, he also understood that the reason he had been able to reach this stage was mostly because his soul had advanced to the soul state in the pill realm. In the past, things would not have been so smooth even if he could succeed. Xiao Yan rested a little after completing the first step, after which he placed all of his attention on the even more complicated subsequent refinements. Many stone platforms were suspended in the sky. All the competitors within those stone platforms were currently controlling their flames with grave faces as they refined a medicinal pill within their own medicinal cauldrons. The entire place was very quiet. Countless numbers of gazes were gathered on these busy people in the sky. They were waiting for the arrival of the final day. The pill gathering would reach its climax at that time. The champion of the pill gathering would also appear on that day. Although the wait was dull, everything was worthwhile for the most exciting moment of their lives. Pill refinement was an extremely time-consuming task. It was not rare for one to refine a medicinal pill for 10 days to half a month. The people seated here were clearly aware of this kind of situation. Therefore, they did not appear impatient because of the long wait. Most of those who could hurry to Holy Pill City to observe were those who had some strength. They also naturally possessed this kind of necessary patience. Time quietly flowed by amid the countless number of anticipatory gazes. 5 days quietly passed within the short blink of an eye. The refinement in the sky had appeared quite calm during these 5 days. However, there would occasionally be some low, deep voices being emitted. These were the cauldron explosion sounds that were emitted when a problem appeared during the refinement. There was also a small portion of alchemists who had successfully refined their medicinal pills during these 5 days. However, when their medicinal pills were refined, they understood that their participation in this competition had come to an end because the medicinal pills of a higher tier required a longer time. Those like them could only be the characters who filled the bottom spots. The gazes of the entire place did not linger on the small number of alchemists who had finished refining their medicinal pills. Most gazes were pausing on Chaoying, Songqing, and some of the other alchemist grandmasters with great reputations. They were aware that the competition between these people was where the most interesting part of this pill gathering lay. Xiao Yan had made a mistake once during these 5 days. An extremely careless mistake while merging the snow bone ginseng made him decisively abandon the refinement and choose to refine all over again. Fortunately, no errors occurred when he merged the snow bone ginseng a second time. After all, Xiao Yan had only prepared 2 sets of medicinal ingredients. If he were to fail, he would have to find some other method. Xiao Yan's shut eyes were slowly opened when the sun on the 5th day had risen to the middle of the sky. His expression was solemn as he looked at the interior of the medicinal cauldron. There were 3 clusters of medicinal liquids. These 3 things might appear inconspicuous, but they emitted a concentrated, pure medicinal strength that caused one shake. These 3 types of things were the result of Xiao Yan's refinement during these 5 days. Currently, his refinement had been successfully completed. Next, he needed to perfectly merge these 3 things together and calcinate them until they took an embryonic form before becoming a pill. Merger was the most important step in pill refinement. Moreover, Xiao Yan currently did not possess many medicinal ingredients. He could not easily fail during this merger. Otherwise, he would not only exhaust time, but the exhaustion of one's spiritual strength would also be terrifying. Refining a medicinal pill of this tier was quite a tiring event. How could it last for so long? Xiao Yan tried his best to maintain his peak condition. His eyes swiftly glanced at Xiaoying in the distance. Old Mugu and the rest were currently controlling the medicinal cauldron within the flame with grave expressions. There was a faint energy ripple being spreading from them. The medicinal cauldron of these fellows are not ordinary items. They kept over half of the ripples in the medicinal cauldron. Otherwise, I would be able to guess just what tier the medicinal pill they were refining belonged to. Xiao Yan slightly sighed in his heart when he saw the focused manner of Chao Ying and the others. He quickly withdrew his attention and inhaled a deep breath of hot air. His grave eyes turned to the interior of his medicinal cauldron. A thought passed through his mind, and the glazed lotus heart flame lingering within the medicinal cauldron swiftly swept forth, wrapping around all 3 types of pure medicinal liquids. The step of merging medicinal strength imposed a harsh requirement on the alchemist's controllability. Even the slightest unexpected change during this period would lead to one's effort going to waste. Hence, this step was unusually important. Xiao Yan clearly understood this point. Hence, he focused all of his attention. A mighty spiritual strength filled every corner of the medicinal cauldron. Any slight changes within it would instantly be fed to his mind. Under Xiao Yan's grave treatment, there was fortunately not many mistakes during the merger. Although this merger process was extremely slow, who would dare increase one's speed at this moment? Stability held the priority in everything. The time required to merge medicinal strengths was the longest among all of the many pill refining steps. Xiao Yan's merger continued for nearly 10 days before it finally approached the end. Time swiftly flowed by like sand between one's fingers. Half a month passed within the blink of an eye. An increasing number of alchemists had refined their medicinal pills during this period. Hence, the competition grounds were filled with pill fragrances that would not scatter. After inhaling a breath of air, the tiredness that had resulted from the long wait had also suddenly disappeared. Although an increasing number of competitors had successfully refined their medicinal pills, not a single one of those medicinal pills successfully stirred the appearance of pill lightning. The best among them merely stirred some dark clouds in the sky. However, not even the flash of lightning appeared within the clouds, let alone a true pill lightning descending from it. Not many people felt disappointed about this situation because they knew the pill gathering was gradually approaching its climax. The medicinal pills that were currently being refined had already climbed to the 6th tier. It was likely that a true Tier 7 medicinal pill would be successfully refined very soon. Xiao Yan ignored the change in the outside world. His eyes were unblinking as they remained locked on the interior of the medicinal cauldron. After 10 long and slow days of merging the medicinal strengths, there was a vague fist-sized round ball-like thing within the flame in his medicinal cauldron. This small ball was formed from over 100 medicinal ingredients' essence strength. However, the medicinal pill was still only in its embryonic form. Although it could not even be called an embryonic form, the most difficult refinement step was at least over. Next, as long as Xiao Yan's condition was stable, he would truly be able to refine this bone-growing blood-fusing pill. However, before the complete pill formed, he still requires some brewing time. Bang! The deep sound of thunder suddenly resounded over the sky above the somewhat hot area. Immediately, countless numbers of eyes were shifted over. They saw that dark clouds had unknowingly appeared in the sky. However, the interior of these dark clouds emitted rumbling thunder, clearly a sign of pill lightning forming. pill lightning? There is a Tier 7 medicinal pill that is about to be born. An uproar resounded over the stadium when everyone saw the unusual phenomenon in the sky. Immediately, a countless number of gazes were gathered on a stone platform below the sky. A middle-aged man was looking at the thunder cloud in the sky with wild joy on his face. He was the first person who had attracted pill lightning. The appearance of pill lightning had attracted the attention of Xiao Yan, who had been focusing his mind on brewing the medicinal pill. His narrowed eyes were slightly widened. After glancing at the thunder clouds in the distant sky, he nodded his head a little. Based on this weak pill lightning, it was likely that the medicinal pill being born should be a Tier 7 low-grade level. Xiao Yan's eyes took a glance before being withdrawn. His gaze once again turned to Chao Ying and the rest, and his heart involuntarily jumped. This time around, he could vaguely sense the energy ripples being emitted from within the medicinal cauldron of the few of them. From the looks of these fluctuations, it was likely the medicinal pills they were refining were not ordinary things. There is really a great amount of pressure. I wonder if I will be able to become the champion by relying on this bone-growing blood-fusing pill. If this is insufficient, it is likely that I could only... Xiao Yan's eyes also slightly flickered when he thought until this point. He bitterly laughed before withdrawing his thoughts. Who cares? Currently, the most important thing was to sit back and observe. That thing was merely his final tactic. Within just half a day after the first pill lightning appeared, some thunderclouds began to gather in the sky again. Moreover, looking at the strength of these thunderclouds, they were clearly stronger than earlier. Clearly, there should be a competitor who had refined a medicinal pill of a better grade. This subsequent period of time had become lively with 2 to 3 pill lightnings appearing every day. The density of these pill lightnings were not uniform. However, based on Xiao Yan's guess, the highest grade medicinal pill should only be that of a Tier 7 middle grade. The square had also become unusually lively due to the occasional pill lightning that appeared. The dispiritedness of a couple of days earlier had completely disappeared. Each time a Tier 7 medicinal pill was born, it would attract quite a number of coveting eyes. A medicinal pill of this grade possessed an extremely great allure to most experts, except those who had already advanced to the Dozun class. Bang bang bang. Pill lightning, which was usually rare to see, had become commonplace in the sky. This caused quite a number of people to feel like this was an eye-opening experience. Following the flow of time, there were fewer and fewer stone platforms with flames still rising. In the end, there were basically less than 50. However, everyone knew that those who remained were definitely the top existences within the alchemist world across the Dochi continent. If things did not deviate from expectations, the champion of this pill gathering would be born among these remaining people. The atmosphere had unknowingly become serious and more tense as the crowd watched the rising pill fires that rose over the dozens of stone platforms. Those present understood that the most intense competition was about to begin. Rolling thunder continued to reverberate over this vast, azure sky. The thick clouds gave one an extremely pressurizing feeling. Bang! A silver-colored giant python-like bolt of lightning suddenly tore through the sky from the thick, dark cloud. It explosively rushed down before being forcefully received by a human figure on a stone platform. Immediately, a substance like pill fragrance spread apart. Ha ha, I have succeeded. That man, whose hair was a little white, laughed wildly at the sky in front of everyone's eyes. His hand held a dragon eye-sized medicinal pill that was emitting an alluring luster. None of those present reprimanded this man, who had lost himself and laughed out loud. Instead, there was an additional heat in their eyes as they looked at him. An alchemist grandmaster, who could refine a Tier 7 middle-grade medicinal pill, would definitely receive VIP treatment no matter where he went. Currently, the pill gathering had entered its last stages. At this moment, there were only 2 types of people still continuing to refine medicinal pills. The first type were those who truly possessed great talent, while the other type were those simply making up the numbers. Of course, in this kind of situation, the first group held the majority. After all, there were very few people with faces thick enough to embarrass themselves in this kind of event. If one were to carefully count the number of pill fires still rising on the stone platforms, one would find that there were still 36 left. In other words, there were still 36 competitors focused on preparing the medicinal pill that they were best at with great care. These 36 people naturally included Xiao Yan, Xiao Yan, Old Mu Gu, Dan Shun, and the other competitors who were viewed as the people with the most potential to become this pill gatherings champion. Xiao Yan sat on his stone platform. Rolling thunder reverberating in the air had already been filtered out by him. All of his focus had been thrown into the medicinal cauldron. A jade-green flame was fiercely burning within the medicinal cauldron. The hot temperature caused the pill cauldron to appear a little red. All of this, however, was not the target of Xiao Yan's focus. His eyes had been staring at the slowly rotating spherical object within the flame. This so-called spherical object was naturally something that was the merger of over 100 types of medicinal essences. However, this thing shrank from the size of a fist to the size of a pigeon egg. Moreover, its shape was becoming rounder within the burning flame. An energy ripple that caused Xiao Yan to feel shocked was vaguely being formed following the gradual shrinking of this spherical object. This kind of ripple had already exceeded that of an ordinary Tier 7 peak grade medicinal pill. Xiao Yan's heart was filled with joy over this kind of change. The current him was confident that he could raise the bone-growing blood-fusing pill to the 8th tier. Xiao Yan suppressed the slight excitement within his heart and hurriedly stabilized his mind. Currently, he was in the most crucial moment. He could not afford to lose even the slightest focus. The faces of everyone on the other stone platforms were also filled with grave expressions while Xiao Yan was refining his medicinal pill with all his effort. The faces of some of them had even revealed a paleness. Clearly, this kind of exhaustion was really something that they had difficulty enduring. Bang! A certain part of the sky suddenly emitted a low, deep explosion in front of the eyes of a countless number of people. The hearts of everyone immediately sank. Their gazes swiftly flew over, only to see a middle-aged man staring at the medicinal cauldron in front of him with a stunned expression. There was a chaotic energy ripple being emitted from within. Clearly, an unexpected situation had occurred during the refinement. How is this possible? The middle-aged man was dull as he looked at the medicinal cauldron. His eyes instantly turned blood red. He had worked hard for 20-plus days only for all his effort to go to waste. This kind of blow was really a little too difficult for him to endure. Everyone quietly sighed within their hearts as they watched the dull expression of the middle-aged man. They felt a little regretful for this person. Failure was not rare when it came to pill refinement. However, a slight failure at this moment would decide if one would lose the qualification to compete with the other experts. There were those who were happy and those who were anxious. If there were those who succeeded, there would naturally be those who failed. The pill gathering had never been a stage for comedy to be performed. During the remaining time, there were people continuously refining a medicinal pill successfully among the 30-plus people who remained. Of course, there were also those who failed. All of these people who failed became a lot more dispirited without exception. Although they might not be able to obtain the top 10 position even if they were to refine their pills successfully, there would, at the very least, have been a chance. However, if they failed in their refinement, they would not have even the slightest chance. The competitors who could still remain at this moment were people who could definitely be compared with some of the elders of the Pill Tower. Some of the top experts were even at a level that the Pill Tower's elders were far from being able to match. The moods of a countless number of people in the stadium were growing better during this period of time. Within the blink of an eye, a competitor, whom they viewed as the dark horse of this pill gathering, might end up failing his refinement due to some small mistake, losing his qualification to continue competing within the blink of an eye. At this time, they realized that refining pills was something that ordinary people couldn't do. Another 5 days quietly passed amid the anticipation of a countless number of gazes. 9 people had successfully refined their medicinal pills during these 5 days. The highest grade medicinal pill was a Tier 7 high-grade medicinal pill. This medicinal pill had immediately attracted pill lightning when it appeared. The continuous sound of roaring thunder caused quite a number of people to feel afraid. The one who had successfully refined this medicinal pill was an old man with an elderly face. This person likely had some reputation on the continent. Hence, It was not too surprising that he was able to be the first to refine a Tier 7 high-grade medicinal pill. Of course, with some people succeeding, it was only natural that some people failed. 9 people succeeded during these 5 days, while 7 others failed. They chose to withdraw with great unwillingness in front of many pitiful eyes. Following the withdrawal of these 16 people, and the competitors who had withdrew earlier due to some reasons, there were only 17 people who remained on the stone platforms refining pills. The filter of time was extremely accurate. Currently, the 17 remaining people, judging from their auras, were definitely not ordinary individuals. The lowest tier badge on their chests was that of a Tier 7 middle-grade alchemist. The highest tier was surprisingly a genuine Tier 8 alchemist guru. This Tier 8 alchemist was someone that Xiao Yan was extremely unfamiliar with. Moreover, he had never paid attention to this person in the past. Clearly, this person had purposefully hid his aura. This unfamiliar Tier 8 alchemist was a gray-haired, old man. His elderly face was like an orange peel. Clearly, he should also be an expert from the older generation. Although his outer appearance was lacking, his face was always covered in a warm smile, giving him a more pleasing appearance than old Mugu. Time was the best filter. It was able to eliminate those lacking from the thousands of competitors and allow those true experts to remain. It is unexpected that old Qing Hua has survived. Xian Kongzi's group on the tall stage looked at the gray-haired, old man that had finally been revealed from the sea of people. They were slightly startled and immediately looked at each other. All of them felt a little helpless. This old fellow can really embarrass himself. Looking at the fluctuations within his medicinal cauldron, it is likely a Tier 8 medicinal pill. The pretty woman gently nodded as she spoke. The most cherished wish of this old fellow is to obtain a type of heavenly flame. Back then, he and Yao Chun had remained in that terrible place for a number of years. However, Yao Chun was still the one who found the bone-chilling flame. He would naturally come and give it a try now that he had an opportunity to obtain the 3,000 burning flame. The dark-skinned elder reminisced. Xian Kongzi helplessly shook his head, after which his eyes suddenly turned to a certain stone platform. A black-clothed old Mugu was focusing his attention and refining his medicinal pill at that spot. This person's aura has remained hidden even now. Moreover, his face seems to have been altered. I wonder just who that expert is. Could it be the disguise of some old fellow who is unwilling to embarrass himself? The pretty woman knit her eyebrows and wondered aloud. No idea. However, he will definitely be unable to hide his aura once the medicinal pill embryonic form was created. At that time, one will know with a glance. It is all right as long as he is not a member of the Hall of Souls. The pretty woman and the rest nodded upon hearing this. A wild wind whistled over the azure sky. The dark clouds had scattered. However, rolling thunder continued to appear for an unknown amount of time. This strange scene caused quite a number of people to quietly feel stunned. However, everyone with some experience was aware that these thunderous sounds did not fall from the sky. Instead, they were emitted from the medical cauldrons on the stone platforms. Bang! A low, deep sound suddenly appeared. Before everyone could hurriedly shift their eyes, they sensed a majestic energy ripple suddenly surge from the stone platform in a lightning-like fashion. Following the surging of this energy, the dark clouds in the sky instantly gathered as a countless number of silver snakes wiggled in all directions. It's Song Qing. Some of the sharp-eyed people finally saw Song Qing, who had been seated cross-legged, suddenly stand up. He looked at the thick, dark clouds in the sky with high spirits. This was clearly his doing. The pill lightning that appeared this time around was even wilder and more violent compared to any of the earlier pill lightnings. This was enough to cause him to feel proud. It is actually a Tier 7 peak grade medicinal pill. Looks like its quality is even higher than the Tier 7 peak grade medicinal pill that appeared earlier. Song Qing raised his hand slowly amid the backdrop of lightning all over the sky. An unusually round medicinal pill, like a bright night pearl, was lifted high up. The pill lightning in the sky appeared at this moment. Upon hearing the exclamations of the many people mixed with the loud thunder, a wild smile was slowly lifted on his face. Immediately, his gaze, that contained slight provocation, shot to a distant stone platform. That spot was where Xiao Yan was located. Xiao Yan randomly glanced at this provoking gaze that had been shot over from a distance, after which he withdrew his eyes. This fellow had hid himself quite well. However, he was really a little too excited today. A Tier 7 peak-grade medicinal pill? The corner of Xiao Yan's mouth involuntarily revealed a cold smile when he thought of this. With this result, it might not be difficult for him to enter the top 10. However, that was it. This Song Qing still did not possess the qualification to truly snatch the champion spot. Xiao Yan's eyes once again focused on the interior of his medicinal cauldron as this thought flashed across his heart. A round medicinal pill was slowly rotating within the rising jade-green flame. The medicinal pill was dark red in color, appearing just like it had been agglomerated from fresh blood essence. Moreover, there was some vague lights flashing over it, causing it to appear just like an eye and giving one an extremely unusual feeling. Soon, a fiery heat quietly surfaced within Xiao Yan's heart as he looked at the medicinal pill that was slowly rotating within the flame. Numerous dark clouds were present in the sky. Occasionally, a large silver snake tore across the sky with a crashing sound as it rushed to the stone platform where Song Qing was located. Immediately, they were all received by Song Qing. The face of Song Qing involuntarily twitched after seeing that his provocative gaze was ignored by Xiao Yan. His eyes swept around, only to discover that Chao Ying, Dan Shun, and the rest did not throw surprised gazes toward him. This caused him to feel a little depressed. Tier 7 peak-grade medicinal pill. Even among some of the experienced elders of the pill tower, their chances of refining one was quite low. Currently, he had refined it, but it had not stirred the commotion that he had expected. This caused his vanity in wanting to enjoy being the focus of everyone's attention to fail to obtain his desire. Song Qing endured the depression within his heart and focused his mind. The pill lightning that was formed from a Tier 7 peak-grade medicinal pill was quite strong. If he did not deal with it seriously, it was likely that even the medicinal pill would be struck by it until nothing remained. If that was the case, it would really end up his turn to cry. While Song Qing was going all out to deal with the pill lightning in the sky, the energy within it had also become much more violent. Clearly, this was a phenomenon caused by the pill lightning. Perhaps it was because of the attraction of the pill lightning this time around, but a couple of competitors also began to emit shocking energy ripples from their medicinal pills. Clearly, the medicinal pills that they were refining were about to be formed. The expressions of these competitors became much more solemn when they sensed the change. If any mistake were to occur at this moment, they would really end up with nothing despite all their efforts. Bang! Dark clouds covered the sky. A low, thunderous rumble continued to resound over the square. Suddenly, a majestic energy ripple swept out. Immediately, everyone saw numerous dark clouds form in the sky above a certain platform. Another Tier 7 peak-grade medicinal pill is born. This scene immediately caused an excited uproar to appear in the stadium. Bang! 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 Before their uproar had sounded, a couple of energy ripples suddenly erupted one after another. Dark clouds surged from all directions as dense silver snakes covered the entire sky. There had been a bright sun earlier, but now it was as dark as night. Occasionally, a silver lightning would flash across the sky, and a glaring glow would pierce down. There were 9 Tier 7 high-grade medicinal pills being born at the same time within a short 10 minutes. In other words, 9 pill lightnings had appeared in the sky at this moment. This scene was really one that was rare to find. Hence, the surrounding black sea of people felt their hearts boil because of this kind of thunderbolt-like explosive atmosphere. A deafening cheer resounded over competition grounds. Finally, this thunderous cheer gathered in the sky, transforming into a terrifying wave that spread apart. The entire pill region could vaguely hear that terrifying sound wave. The 8 pill lightnings that had suddenly appeared also caused Song Qing to be startled. A cold smile flashed across his eyes after he glanced at the surrounding pill lightnings. Fortunately, the pill lightnings of these people were inferior to his. In other words, the grade of their medicinal pills should be inferior to his. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. This silver lightning rushed over the sky from all directions. Finally, it explosively struck those stone platforms. In an instant, the entire sky was reverberating with a kind, deep, thunderous roar. Xiao Yan, Xiao Ying, Old Mugu, and the rest acted as though they had not heard anything in the face of this spectacular scene of numerous bolts of lightning rushing down from the sky. Their eyes were fixated on the interior of their own medicinal cauldrons. Danshun was seated with her legs crossed on a stone platform. At this moment, her face had already become extremely pale. Her body was originally weak. If not for the support of her spiritual strength, it was likely that she would not have been able to endure until now. Fortunately, she had managed to persevere. I'm about to succeed. The eyes of Danshun seemed to be focused on her medicinal cauldron. Her hand seals continued to change. A vast and mighty spiritual strength continuously surged into the medicinal cauldron. There was a faint spiritual aura that was vaguely spread over the spiritual strength. Grug. Danshun's face suddenly turned red while the seal formed by her hands changed. Immediately, a mouthful of fresh blood was spat out before being shot into the medicinal cauldron. Finally, it merged with the medicinal pill that was rolling within the flame. Boom! A bright and powerful glow suddenly appeared within the medicinal cauldron like a sun after the fresh blood touched the medicinal pill. A terrifying energy ripple, which caused people to be shocked, explosively surged out of the medicinal cauldron with a bang. The medicinal cauldron that could endure burning of any heavenly flame had been blasted into countless number of fragments under this kind of frightening ripple. Sizzle! A green light pillar, 100 feet in size, shot out of the medicinal cauldron when it blasted apart. It shot toward the sky in the process. The silver lightning that densely covered the sky appeared to meet some terrifying thing under this green-colored light pillar. It hurriedly withdrew. The thunderclouds that had been acting triumphantly earlier hurriedly shrank back. They did not dare to even make the slightest contact with the light pillar. The light pillar entered the sky in front of a countless number of eyes. Soon after, clouds suddenly appeared wherever the light pillar rushed past. Within the short blink of an eye, it had agglomerated into 100-meter-large thundercloud. Moreover, the thing that caused others to feel shocked was that the thundercloud that has been formed this time around possessed a green and a silver color. Two-colored thundercloud? The entire stadium made a great uproar when they saw the two-colored thundercloud that had appeared in the sky. Many people present were seeing pill lightning with two colors for the first time in their life. Xin Kongzi and the others on the tall stage were also looking at the two-colored thundercloud with grave expressions. A moment later, they looked at each other and nodded. This girl from the Dan clan is indeed extraordinary. She has refined a Tier 8 medicinal pill and has even attracted a two-colored thundercloud. Tier 8 medicinal pills could already be considered the peak level of the Golden Pagoda within the alchemist world. Tier 8 and Tier 7 might only differ by one tier, but that difference was like the heaven and earth. A Tier 8 medicinal pill possessed some spirituality. One could even say that it possessed basic intelligence. In other words, a Tier 8 medicinal pill already possessed a life force that belonged to it. It could already be categorized as a creature. Moreover, the division within Tier 8 medicinal pills was exceptionally harsh. Its quality could no longer be differentiated by one's naked eye. Instead, it was differentiated through the colors of pill lightning. The higher the grade of the medicinal pill, the pill lightning that it would attract when it was formed would possess even more colors. It was rumored that if one could attract a 9-colored pill lightning, it meant that the medicinal pill had already advanced to the 9th tier, which possessed the strength of creation. It would not be overboard to describe a medicinal pill of this tier as a divine pill. By being able to attract a 2-colored thundercloud, it meant that she had successfully refined a Tier 8 medicinal pill. Moreover, it was a Tier 8 medicinal pill that possessed 2-colored pill lightning. The 2-colored thundercloud lingered over the vast sky. A mighty thunder spread down from it. The pill lightnings attracted by Song Qing and the rest around appeared exceptionally small when compared to this 2-colored thundercloud. Song Qing and the rest widened their mouths as they looked at the 2-colored thundercloud. Their mouths were immediately filled with bitterness. The appearance of this 2-colored pill lightning had completely suppressed all of them. Danshin wiped off the trace of blood on the corner of her mouth as she stood on the stone platform. Her pale white face looked at the two-colored pill lightning in the sky. A smile surfaced on the corner of her mouth as she stood up with some difficulty. Her delicate, small body caused even the Xun'er class experts to be afraid of underestimating her. Regardless of the results today, the name of the Dan clan would completely resound over the Central Plains because of this girl. Haha, Sister Danshin, you have indeed improved during these few years. However, it is not so easy to get me to admit defeat. A lovely laugh was suddenly transmitted from the distance just when a smile surfaced on Danshin's face. Danshin turned her head, only to see Xiao Yan slowly standing up. Her enchanting face was also filled with a paleness. Even though this was the case, the smile on her beautiful face was still bewitching. Pill refinement was a source of pride in Xiao Yan's heart. The witch reputation was not an empty one. Her many years of tough training in the Pill Tower would completely reveal themselves in front of the many eyes currently present. A phoenix-like haughtiness surfaced on Xiao Yan's face. Her hand suddenly formed a hand seal as she softly cried out, "Rise!" Bang! Her cry had just sounded when a large light pillar also erupted out from the medicinal cauldron in front of Xiao Yan, shooting into the sky. The clouds in the sky swiftly gathered as the light pillar erupted. After which, two colors appeared in front of the countless number of shocked eyes below. However, a sharp-eyed person could tell that there seemed to be a trace of an extremely faint red color mixed within the green and silver colors. It is another Tier 8 medicinal pill. The entire stadium was boiling at this moment. Countless numbers of eyes were red as they looked at the bright thundercloud in the sky. An excitement surged within their hearts as the blood in their bodies began to boil. This was the true pill gathering. Song Qing was stunned as he looked at the thundercloud in the sky. A sense of defeat rose within his heart. He was indeed lacking when compared with these monsters like Xiao Yan and Danshin. Fortunately, that Xiao Yan should. Song Qing's eyes suddenly paused when this thought flashed across his heart because he discovered that Xiao Yan, who had been seated like a statue on a distant stone platform, had finally stood up. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless numbers of fiery hot gazes appeared to have teleported as they suddenly paused on Xiao Yan's body when he stood up. Xin Kongzi and the rest on the tall stage also gently clenched their hands without being able to control themselves. Their gazes were gathered on the somewhat skinny figure under the dark clouds that permeated the sky. Back then, that man called Yao Chun had obtained the greatest glory in an extremely shocking manner. Today, would the disciple of the man, who was considered the most dazzling genius of the alchemist world, be able to follow him in obtaining glory? Xiao Yan slowly got up in front of a countless number of gazes. Lightning bolts rumbled in the sky. Occasionally, the lightning that rushed through the sky would carry a powerful light that lit up that young face, which appeared exceptionally calm. Xiao Yan, Danshin, and the rest shifted their eyes from the thunderclouds in the sky when they saw Xiao Yan stand up. All of their eyes were shot onto him. Xiao Yan's eyes were somewhat complicated as she looked at Xiao Yan's skinny figure. She clearly understood in her heart that Xiao Yan's pill refinement talent was not inferior to hers. This was the first time her arrogant self had given such an evaluation to a man of similar age. This was enough to tell just how highly she regarded Xiao Yan. The pale-faced Danshin also placed her eyes on Xiao Yan. She had some contact with Xiao Yan, but she had not expected him to reach this point. Humph! Old Mugu glanced at Xiao Yan. The corner of his mouth was lifted into a cold smile, and his nose also emitted a cold snort. He did not place much regard to Xiao Yan. It is said that this person is that old fellow Yao Qin's disciple. I wonder just how much of Yao Qin's ability he has learned. That gray-haired, old man, who was called Old Demon Qinghua by Xin Kongzi, was currently resting his gaze on Xiao Yan while muttering in his heart. Xiao Yan acted as though he had not seen the countless numbers of gazes that were looking at him with various emotions. His expression was calm as his eyes stared intently at the interior of the medicinal cauldron. A moment later, he inhaled a deep breath and abruptly waved his sleeves. Clang! With a wave of Xiao Yan's sleeves, the cauldron cover of the 10,000 beast cauldron immediately flew away. A shocking energy fluctuation swept out of the medicinal cauldron. It violently collided with the interior walls of the medicinal cauldron and emitted a deafening metallic sound. Although the medicinal cauldron was blocking it, there was still a portion of energy ripple that got out. Some of the stone platforms near Xiao Yan cracked into rock fragments with a bang under this energy ripple.
Bang!
The soul-stirring energy ripple had just spread apart when the 10,000 beast cauldron suddenly trembled. Immediately, a large jade-green fire pillar emitted a swoosh sound as it shot into the sky in front of numerous astounded gazes. The fiery hot glow within the fire pillar that shot into the sky was clearly visible within a 50-kilometer radius. The faint energy fluctuation present within the fire pillar caused quite a number of experts to feel shock rising within their hearts. This kind of fluctuation, Xin Kong's eyes thickened as he watched from the tall platform. He softly said, "It should also be a Tier 8 medicinal pill. This fellow has indeed held back in the past. However, I wonder just how many different colored pill lightnings can he attract?" Xin Kong's words had just sounded when a strange fog swiftly agglomerated at the end of the fire pillar in the sky. A moment later, it agglomerated into the shape of a cloud. The breathing of the entire stadium quieted. Countless numbers of eyes stared intently at the churning thunderclouds in the sky. The thunderclouds churned in front of the many gazes, after which green and silver colors slowly revealed themselves. 2 colors? It is actually a 2-colored thundercloud. Waves of exclamations immediately sounded around the stadium as everyone looked at the color of the thundercloud. That's not right. The thundercloud is still churning. There is another color appearing. This uproar had just sounded when numerous exclamations suddenly appeared. Quite a number of people were suddenly surprised when they heard these exclamations. They hurriedly focused their eyes on the churning thunderclouds in the distant sky and did indeed see a bright red color beginning to appear under the green and silver colors. A moment later, the red became even brighter. In the end, the density of the red was not any less than the other 2 colors. The churning thundercloud finally began to come to a stop after the red color appeared, after which it completely stabilized into 3 bright colors. It's a 3-colored thundercloud. It is indeed 3-colored. The color is also even denser when compared to Xiao Ying's pill lightning. Just who is this Xiao Yan? Even Xiao Ying from the pill tower cannot compare to him? The entire stadium had turned into a complete uproar at this moment. Xiao Yan's name was far less renowned compared to Xiao Ying. However, his current performance had surpassed her. This result was enough for him to become the dark horse of this pill gathering. This fellow, how is it possible? Song Qing was stunned as he looked at the bright 3-colored thundercloud in the sky. He felt a little giddy at this moment. He was clearly aware of Xiao Yan's pill refining ability. It was at the very most at the high-grade 7th tier. How could he refine a Tier 8 medicinal pill? Moreover, it was a Tier 8 medicinal pill that had attracted a 3-colored thundercloud. This result was something that even Xiao Ying could not compare with. Could it be that this fellow has been hiding his strength? Xiao Ying and Danshin in the distance were also slightly stunned because of this situation. Shocked expressions appeared within their eyes. Clearly, Xiao Yan's result had far surpassed their expectations. Who? The shock continued for a moment before slowly disappearing. Xiao Ying's pretty eyes glanced at the young man, whose face was calm under the thundercloud. A splendor flashed across her proud eyes for the first time. This witch, who had captivated countless numbers of outstanding men over the many years, finally felt a throb deep within her heart at this moment because of this young man that was standing under a thundercloud. 3-colored pill lightning. Ha ha, Xin Kongzi, you have lost once again? The pretty woman on the tall stage looked at the 3-colored thundercloud in the sky. Her eyes once again turned to the skinny figure on the stone platform. She slightly smiled as she softly uttered, "Ugh, he is worthy of being Yao Chan. Even until now, I am still unable to beat him." Xin Kongzi's eyes paused on the sky. It was a long while before he withdrew them and sighed. His expression was a little complicated as he spoke. This Xiao Yan will have a promising future. Moreover, he might even surpass his teacher. That dark-skinned, old man's stern face finally revealed a smile of admiration as he spoke. Kongzi and the pretty woman gently nodded. His eyes turned, and he suddenly looked at the position where the old demon Qinghua and old Mu Gu were located. Currently, these two were the only ones whose results had yet to be uncovered. Their results would determine just who would be the champion of this pill gathering. I wonder just who will be the final victory. Xiao Yan appeared as though he had heard Kongzi muttering to himself. After the thundercloud of Xiao Yan had completely gathered, the old demon Qinghua in the distance also waved his sleeves. He slowly stood up after Xiao Yan. Old demon Qinghua, who had stood up, looked at Xiao Yan. He nodded slightly to him before moving his mouth. A slight voice was transmitted into Xiao Yan's ears. "Little fellow, you have done quite well and have not caused that bastard teacher of yours to lose face." Xiao Yan was also startled in the face of the voice transmitted by this unfamiliar, old man. However, based on the meaning of those words, this person seemed to have some relation with his teacher. Xiao Yan did not dare to slight him. Xiao Yan cupped his hands together and bowed to this old man from a distance. Old demon Qinghua smiled. After which, his eyes turned to old Mu Gu, who did not reveal any activity. His eyes were narrowed. He could sense that this fellow was definitely not an ordinary character. Moreover, he vaguely felt a slight familiarity. This kind of feeling lingered within the heart of old demon Qinghua for a moment before it was tossed aside by him. His gaze stared at the medicinal cauldron in front of him before he waved his sleeves in front of a countless number of eyes. After which, he sent the cover of the medicinal cauldron flying away. The cauldron cover had fell when a trace of energy ripple, not inferior to Xiao Yan's energy fluctuation earlier, surged out. After which, a light pillar rushed out of the cauldron top and shot into the sky. Countless numbers of gazes gathered on the spot in the sky where the light pillar shot up. A couple of minutes later, the sky slightly shook. Fog gathered before transforming into the shape of a thundercloud. After an intense churning, two types of colors were revealed. Soon after, another color quietly appeared. Finally, the pill lightning stabilized with three types of color. It is also three-colored pill lightning? A continuous sound of surprise resonated over the stadium as everyone looked at the thundercloud. It had slowly ceased churning after stabilizing with three types of colors. Old demon Qinghua's pill lightning was similar to Xiao Yan's. It had three colors. Moreover, its hue was about the same as Xiao Yan's. It was a little difficult to identify which of the two was better by merely relying on one's naked eye. Three-colored pill lightning. This old fellow's pill refinement ability has improved. Kongzi and the rest slightly nodded and softly laughed as they looked at the three-colored pill lightning in the sky. Next, there is only that fellow left. The eyes of the pretty woman turned and paused on old Mu Gu before she slowly spoke. Kongzi and the others gently nodded upon hearing her words. For some unknown reason, a faint uneasiness quietly rose in their hearts. After the entire place let out an exclamation over the three-colored pill lightning of old demon Qinghua, all of their eyes gathered on the final stone platform. There was a black-clothed man seated there. The face of old Mu Gu was slowly lifted into a strange smile in front of everyone's eyes. He slowly got up and glanced at Xiao Yan with cold eyes. After which, he turned his gaze and threw it at Kongzi and the rest. His eyes were filled with ridicule. Kongzi's group felt their hearts sink when they saw his gaze. TSK, Kongzi, I'm sorry, but it seems that the old me will be taking the champion spot of the pill gathering this time around, huh? Old Mu Gu involuntarily laughed in a strange manner upon seeing the sinking faces of Kongzi's group. His laughter was no longer hidden this time around. Instead, it was the familiar voice that Xiao Yan had heard that night. Old Mu Gu flicked his finger after laughing. An extremely terrifying light pillar appeared just like a laser that penetrated through the world as it rushed toward the sky while being accompanied by a mighty ripple. TSK. The disciple that Yao Qin's taught is but only this level. The mighty light pillar shot toward the sky. Old Mu Gu's dense laughter caused Xiao Yan's expression to gradually turn gloomy. The owl-like laughter reverberated over the sky. Lightning flashed by and a glaring light landed on old Mu Gu's face, causing him to appear exceptionally strange. The large light pillar shot to the sky in front of numerous eyes. The vast, mighty strength within the light pillar caused the expressions of those present to change in shock. Looking at the energy ripple from the light, it was likely that those who had appeared earlier had yet to reach this level. Just what great being was this mysterious, black-clothed person? Countless numbers of people felt some surprise in their hearts at this moment. Those who possessed such an ability would definitely not be unknown. Of course, an ordinary person might not be able to recognize him, but the expressions of Xian Kongzi and the rest on the tall stage slowly became gloomy at this moment. The light pillar rushed up. That aura, which old Mu Gu had been hiding, completely erupted at this moment. Old Mu Gu. The smile on Xian Kongzi's face was slowly withdrawn. His eyes revealed an icy chill as he stared at the black-clothed figure while speaking his name a syllable at a time. It is unexpected that he was able to hide from the three of us. Moreover, his appearance has also been altered. A chill flashed across the face of the pretty woman at this moment while she spoke in a solemn voice. Three association heads, what should we do now? A white-robed, old man behind Xian Kongzi's trio revealed a slight change in expression as he hurriedly asked in a soft voice. From the looks of the current situation, this old Mu Gu had clearly come prepared. If this were allowed to continue, it was likely that he would really end up obtaining the champion position of this pill gathering. At that time, the pill tower would lose a great amount of face. After all, everyone knew that the pill tower and the Hall of Souls were adversaries. If the other party were to obtain the highest honor of this pill tower, just how comical would it appear if word of it spread to the ears others? Xian Kongzi's expression also became unusually gloomy. Both of his hands were slowly clenched. A moment later, they slowly relaxed. He said in a deep voice, "Let's wait and see. It is already too late to do anything now. We have really failed to take sufficient precautions." Although old Mu Gu is a member of the Hall of Souls, he is also an alchemist and possesses the qualifications to participate in the pill gathering. If we were to intervene and remove his right to participate in public, not only will the Hall of Souls not let the matter rest, but our pill tower's reputation will be damaged. Do we just allow him to obtain the champion position? That white-robed, old man hurriedly asked when he heard this. Xian Kongzi's expression sank, but he did not reply. Seeing his face, the white-robed, old man ceased speaking. He understood that Xian Kongzi's heart was extremely furious at this moment. The pretty woman and the dark-skinned, old man exchanged glances. They saw a chill in the other party's eyes. Xiao Yan's eyes were also dark as he stared at the cold smile of old Mu Gu from a stone platform. His fist was slowly tightened, and a fierce glint flashed across his eyes. The mocking laughter of his earlier had aroused the killing intent within his heart. Old Mu Gu ignored the various gazes from all directions. He raised his head and looked at the end of the light pillar in the sky. A dense fog had begun to appear amid the terrifying energy fluctuation. This fog swiftly gathered. Within a short period of time, it had agglomerated into the shape of a thunder cloud. The hearts of everyone present suddenly tightened when the thunder cloud was formed in the sky. The appearance of the pill lightning this time around would determine the final victor of this pill gathering. A thundercloud swiftly churned in front of a countless number of gazes. Green and silver colors appeared almost instantly, dyeing the pill lightning with two colors. "It's already two-colored." Exclamations sounded one after another in the large stadium when they saw the two-colored pill lightning appear in the sky. "It's not over yet. There's still another color appearing." Soon after those cries sounded, the thundercloud churned once again. Immediately, a red color suddenly appeared. Finally, it swiftly expanded in front of the many heated gazes. Within less than 1 minute, the red color joined the two other colors. "It's 3 colors. It has reached 3 colors." The somewhat quiet atmosphere had once again began to boil when they saw the third color appear. The faces of a countless number of people were so excited to the point that they were a flush red. Within a short day, they had seen 3 types of 3-colored pill lightning. This spectacular scene could really be described as one that was rarely seen in 100 years. Some of the pill tower's elders on the tall stage felt their hearts become extremely anxious as they watched the three-colored pill lightning that had appeared. If old Mugu only produced a three-colored pill lightning, there might still be a chance to turn things around. Xiao Yan and old Xinhua would have the ability to compete with him. Thunder clouds churned in the distant sky, influencing the hearts of numerous people. There's more. There's more colors appearing. A hurried scream suddenly resounded over the stadium. Immediately, an uproar resonated over the sky. Countless numbers of gazes hurriedly gathered. They saw that after the third type of color had stabilized, a dazzling golden-colored cloud quietly emitted a ray of golden-colored light like a sun that was hidden in the cloud layer.
Bang!
The stadium erupted almost instantly when everyone saw the golden color that had suddenly appeared. Everyone got up from their chairs at this moment. Their eyes were shocked as they looked at the beautiful thunder cloud in the sky. Green, silver, red, and golden. These four different lights in the clouds had set off the thundercloud until it appeared extremely beautiful. For colors, four-colored pill lightning. The pill gathering had finally revealed the best scene at the very last moment of the pill gathering. Some of the elders of the pill tower on the tall stage looked at the four-colored pill lightning in the sky. Their expressions had become much paler. They looked at each other, but they did not know what to say. For a moment, this entire place had been suppressed by a silence. The pill tower's reputation would definitely end up suffering a great blow if the matter today spread. Creak. Xin Kongzi's face was so dark and solemn that it was terrifying. It vaguely revealed a savage expression. His dry, shriveled fist was clenched until it emitted a cracking sound. The space around him had also formed numerous intense ripples, following the fluctuation of his emotion. Calm down. The dark-skinned, old man's expression changed when he felt the ripples. His hand heavily landed on Xin Kongzi's shoulder as he cried out in a low voice. The ferocious expression on Xin Kongzi's face was slowly reduced after this low cry rang out. However, his face was still dark and gloomy. A moment later, he finally spoke in a hoarse voice. "I will personally intervene after this matter is over and tear this old bastard into 1,000 pieces. If you were to attack, it would end up stirring a massive battle between the Pill Tower and the Hall of Souls. The implication is too great. That person from the Hall of Souls is too strong. Back then, the three of us together were no match for him. The Pill Tower will be at a disadvantage if we go to war." The pretty woman by the side spoke with a serious face. Xin Kongzi's body slightly trembled. His eyes were filled with a frightening fury. It was the first time in so many years that he had found it so difficult to control his emotions. "Let's just wait and see. Perhaps a miracle will occur." The pretty woman softly sighed. However, she was also aware that this matter had basically reached a foregone conclusion. Old Mugu's four-colored pill lightning had firmly suppressed the three-colored pill lightning of old demon Xinhua and Xiao Yan. Old Mugu looked at the sky, which had ceased churning, from his stone platform. It had stabilized into a four-colored pill lightning. He completely relaxed his tensed heart. A rampant and pleased laugh resounded continuously over the competition grounds. "Ha, Xin Kongzi, do you see it? The old me has said that the champion spot of the pill gathering would definitely land in the hands of us, the Hall of Souls." Old Mugu's rampant laughter had just sounded when it appeared as though he had thrown a powerful bomb out, causing many people to be at a loss. Hall of Souls? This person is someone from the Hall of Souls? The greatest glory of the Pill Tower will be snatched away by the Hall of Souls, who are completely incompatible with them. Ugh. This time around, the Hall of Souls has viciously stepped on the Pill Tower. After this matter, it is likely that the position of the Pill Tower in the hearts of some alchemists will be shaken. The many alchemists of the Pill Tower revealed unusually ugly expressions upon hearing the many private conversations in the stadium. However, they were speechless at this moment. All they could do was hold their anger in their hearts. On the stone platforms, Chao Ying and Dan Chun were glaring at old Mugu, who was laughing wildly at the sky. They were also members of the Pill Tower. Old Mugu's actions could be considered a violent slap to their faces. They might be furious, but they were without any tactics. Under the rumbling four-colored pill lightning in the sky, Old Mugu had sufficient strength to willfully step on the reputation of the pill tower. Xiao Ying's pretty eyes suddenly turned to another stone platform in an involuntary manner while she remained furious. Xiao Yan was located at that spot. Currently, his face was filled with an expression of hesitation, as though he was pondering something. Xiao Ying's heart leaped when she saw his face. An extremely tiny amount of hope suddenly surged from deep within her heart without reason. After which, she shouted at Xiao Yan, "Xiao Yan, if you are a man, you will go all out." This sudden cry had resounded over the sky in an extremely abrupt manner. After which, a countless number of eyes gathered on the skinny figure on the stone platform, emitting swoosh sounds. Xiao Yan was similarly stunned by this scene. He was surprised as he looked at Xiao Ying in the distance, whose face had turned bright red after she had fully awakened. TSK, go all out? At this moment, forget about the younger generation. Even if that old bastard Yao Chan were to come, the old me would not even view him seriously. Old Mugu was also startled when he heard her words. He immediately could not help but mock her. Old Mugu's heart suddenly pounded after his laughter had just sounded. His gaze turned to Xiao Yan, only to see Xiao Yan's expression completely turn gloomy. "You still do not have the qualification for teacher to personally deal with you." After his dense, cold voice sounded, Xiao Yan suddenly stepped forward. His hands were inserted into the light pillar. He had finally decided to stake it all. The entire stadium was in an uproar when everyone saw Xiao Yan suddenly insert his hands into the light pillar in front of him. Numerous surprised gazes shot onto his body. From the looks of him, it seemed that he was unwilling to give up so easily. However, the medicinal pill had already been formed. Did Xiao Yan still have some method to turn the situation around? There was no time left for him to refine a medicinal pill of a higher tier. Xin Kongzi and the rest on the tall stage were slightly startled upon seeing his movements. Clearly, they felt some surprise at what Xiao Yan did. They could not figure what Xiao Yan could do at this moment. This person is not reckless. He might really have a method. The pretty woman's eyes gathered on the skinny figure on the distant stone platform. She spoke with some hesitation. This, hopefully. Xin Kongzi and the dark-skinned elder also hesitated before speaking. They naturally wished for a miracle to appear if it could. However, right now, they were really unable to think of where the miracle would come from. Xiao Ying in the distance stared at Xiao Yan with unblinking, pretty eyes. For some unknown reason, she had felt an unknown confidence appear. Perhaps it was because she had never witnessed this young man, who was around her age, reveal the slightest feeling of panic. The focus of her attention caused some jealousy to rise within Song Qing's heart a short distance away. However, there was nothing he could do. Compared to the current Xiao Yan, his title as the youngest elder of the Pill Tower did not appear to hold any weight. Himph, putting on an act. Old Mugu was also surprised by Xiao Yan's actions. However, a ridicule rose on his face as he laughed in a faint, cold voice. He was unable to imagine just what kind of ability Xiao Yan possessed to reverse this situation, which had already become a foregone conclusion. Being the person involved, Xiao Yan was not distracted by the various gazes of surprise from all around him. The medicinal pill might have been formed, but it did not mean that he had lost his final qualification to compete. A Tier 8 medicinal pill was no longer something that an ordinary pill could compare with. A medicinal pill of this tier already possessed a spirituality. It was due to this spirituality that caused the Tier 8 medicinal pills to be so precious. A medicinal pill that possessed a greater amount of spirituality would have a greater grade. This was a law in the alchemist world. In other words, at the level of a Tier 8 medicinal pill, the advantages and disadvantages of the light pillar energy was no longer the most important aspect of the pill. Raising the spirituality of the medicinal pill was the most important thing now. When some medicinal pills' spirituality had reached a certain level, they would even be able to absorb pure energy from nature to supplement themselves. Hence, spirituality was a key factor in determining the quality of a Tier 8 medicinal pill. Although the medicinal pill had already formed, its spirituality had yet to stabilize. At this moment, there was still room for the medicinal pill to be enhanced. As long as the spirituality increased, the quality of the medicinal pill would make a final leap. Of course, this was something that was easy to say, but very difficult to do. With the medicinal pill having formed, the various pure medicinal strengths within had already been forced into an equilibrium. If one wished to add something else, one might disturb this equilibrium if one were careless. Damaging the medicinal pill was a small matter, but if it ended up exploding, the effects would be terrible to bear. Hence, there were extremely few people who would dare to forcefully raise the grade of a medicinal pill after it had formed. Even some alchemist gurus with great abilities would not attempt it. However, other people might not dare to, but Xiao Yan did because he had obtained the inheritance of Yao Lao. Xiao Yan's finger gently rubbed over a dark black ring. Among the large collection that Yao Lao had left behind, there was an ultimate pill refinement skill that he was extremely proud of. This ability was something that even Han Feng had never come into contact with because he did not possess the level or ability. This so-called ultimate pill refinement skill was called spiritual enhancement. Teacher, protect me. Xiao Yan slightly shut his eyes. He inhaled a deep breath of air before suddenly reopening them. His hands in the light pillar were suddenly clenched. A shocking energy ripple rolled out. Xiao Yan's hand was slowly withdrawn in front of the countless number of gazes focusing on him. A thumb-sized, dim red medicinal pill immediately appeared in front of the gazes of everyone present. The medicinal pill was dark red with a sleek appearance. Moreover, the thing that greatly shocked others was the faint fog that was lingering over the medicinal pill. This fog appeared to possess some intelligence, and it would occasionally agglomerate into various shapes. It lingered around the medicinal pill and was exceptionally mysterious. Xiao Yan took the medicinal pill out of the light pillar. His expression was exceptionally solemn. This so-called spiritual enhancement method could be considered the best work of Yao Lao, something he was extremely satisfied with. However, even the creator of this method seldom used it because this method of spiritual enhancement was overly harsh on the user. If Xiao Yan had not advanced to the 8th tier, it was likely that even he would not dare to even think about using this pill refinement method. Xiao Yan's eyes stared at the dark red medicinal pill in his hand. A moment later, he pulled his hand back. The medicinal pill was slowly suspended in front of him, gently leaping in a mischievous manner. Xiao Yan suddenly clenched his hand after having released the medicinal pill. The jade-green glazed lotus heart flame appeared in his hand, after which he flicked his finger and the dark black ring on his finger shook. A dense white flame was suddenly emitted. Bone-chilling flame. Xin Kongzi's group, Old Mugu, and Old Demon Qing Hua softly muttered to themselves. They were all startled when the white flame appeared. It is unexpected that Yao Chun has even handed him the bone-chilling flame. Looks like he really views Xiao Yan as his true disciple. The pretty woman's eyes was startled when she saw the dense white flame. It was a moment later before she softly spoke. Her eyes were looking at Xiao Yan appeared to grow more gentle. Countless numbers of gazes looked at the three flames lingering around Xiao Yan. Some of the people who knew their stuff immediately inhaled a violent gasp of cool air. The eyes of some alchemists revealed a hunger.
Bang!
Before the expressions of desire from these fellows spread, a thought flashed through Xiao Yan's mind. 3 types of flames rushed out. They violently collided together in front of the many shocked gazes. With collision of the 3 types of flames, an annihilation-like aura quietly appeared. Before it could spread, a vast and mighty spiritual pressure surged from between Xiao Yan's eyebrows. After which, spiritual strength was just like a dragnet as it surrounded the flames before rapidly beginning to rotate. Xiao Yan was already extremely familiar with merging these flames. This action might appear extremely crazy in the eyes of others, but it was commonplace to him. Merging the extermination fire lotus was far more difficult than merging these flames together. While his spiritual strength rapidly rotated, the 3 clusters of flames swiftly calmed down in front of numerous shocked eyes. Around a couple of minutes later, a wisp of a fist-sized brown-green flame suddenly appeared. Xiao Yan waved his sleeve after the flame appeared. This wisp of brown-green flame swiftly rushed out, after which it wrapped around the dark red medicinal pill, naughtily leaping in front of him. This fellow is crazy. Does he intend to destroy the medicinal pill? Ads by Pub Future. Xiao Yan's actions immediately stirred a commotion across the entire plaza. Countless numbers of people were looking at Xiao Yan. Was this fellow attempting to destroy the medicinal pill? The brows of old Mu Gu in the distance suddenly twitched when he saw what Xiao Yan was doing. He vaguely felt an uneasiness appearing. This? Xin Kongzi's group on the tall stage also displayed stunned faces. A moment later, the pretty woman was the first to recover. Her eyes flickered. After a short while, she softly explained, "Do you all still remember that crazy thing Yao Chen did after refining a Tier 8 medicinal pill back then?" Xin Kongzi and the other elder trembled upon hearing the pretty woman's words. They exclaimed, "You mean Yao Chen's spiritual enhancement method?" The pretty woman slowly nodded. Her eyes returned to Xiao Yan, who was on a distant stone platform. She said, "Looks like this disciple of Yao Chen has really learned all of his skills. Xin Kong, you might have to thank him this time around." Xin Kongzi let out a deep breath. An excitement that was hidden deeply flashed across his eyes. If Xiao Yan were able to succeed, he might really be able to turn this situation, which seemed to be a foregone conclusion, around.